It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of December 6, 1996. Actually, before I get to it, I kind of say something. Looking at these movies, the last couple of episodes we've done, I've really started to realize that this was probably the first overall holiday season or season of movies where I really got excited as a kid. Because when you really look back at the movies that we've had so far, we've had Space Jam, we've had Star Trek First Contact, we had Jingle All the Way, we had 101 Dalmatians, we have Daylight here. In a couple weeks, we're going to be looking at stuff like Scream, Beavis and Butthead Do America. These movies that this was a pretty damn good holiday season stretch of films in 1996. I really look back on this. Jerry Maguire's another one. I have so many movies here that I mentioned and I did not mention, but this was probably the first real season of movies that I remember being really excited about. This was a really good time for movies back then, because you got some really good Oscar movies that did eventually become Oscar contenders. You have good, fun, over-the-top movies, good movies overall, good adaptations overall. It was a pretty good time back then, and this first movie we're going to look at is no exception. We have 3 movies to look at, and this first movie, the biggest new release of the weekend, is, I think, a fun movie. It's Sylvester Stallone in the action thriller. I almost said disaster. It is a disaster film, but it's called Daylight. Good Lord.
Manhattan is an island. By day, the population grows to over 3 million people. And every evening, 3/4 of them leave the city. If you want to get off the island, you can go over the water or go under it. Tonight, however, commuters are advised to avoid the tunnel.
Why do I get the feeling that when that trailer was shown in New York City, there were people that actually believed that believed what he said about about residents are advised to not go under the tunnel? And I don't know. I think some people might have actually done. Yeah, I think that's a fun concept to play with. But this is Daylight. This is actually the second film Rob Cohen directed in 1996 after Dragonheart, which is a really good film. This one, of course, stars Sylvester Stallone, and honestly, I actually had fun with this movie. I think this is a really fun concept overall. I actually like this movie than most of the other disaster movies that were coming out around this time period. I think it's much more fun than Independence Day. I think it's more fun than Dante's Peak. I think it's more fun than Volcano. I think it's even more fun than Mars Attacks, which we'll get to next week, but I thought this was a ton of fun. It is not a good movie overall. It's a very lackluster script overall, but the effects in this movie look so incredible. It's amazing how this movie looks. The practical effects in this movie look like practical effects, and sometimes the CG doesn't look like straight up CG compared to nowadays. Like, you could definitely tell there's a good mixing of both practical and CG effects in here. And like I said, it's a fun concept too. Like, I actually had to look just to make sure that this was actually something that actually does exist in New York City, where there is a bridge underneath the water, and supposedly, that's kind of true. It's beneath the Hudson River, and it always never occurred to me that was the case, even though I've always said, as I've said before, I've always wanted to visit New York City one day. Hopefully I can still do that someday. That's my hope in my life. That's the one big thing in my life, that I want to see New York City before I die. And I had no idea, for the longest time, I had no idea that they actually had a bridge underneath the Hudson River, and I think that's actually kind of a fun concept here. What happens if something happens to cause the bridge to be damaged and the water starts coming in? And I think this movie does a pretty good job of playing with that concept overall. Story-wise, we've seen this story done over and over again, but I think it does a pretty good job. I think the action sequences are what really stand out the most. Stallone is pretty good. Is pretty okay in this movie. This is one of his movies where it wasn't a big hit. This actually kind of was one of the last movies before he tried to stage a comeback with Copland the following year, which we'll get to that in '97. But I thought he did all right in here. I thought the movie overall was a ton of fun. I got a lot more enjoyment out of this movie than I thought I was going to. It's not a great movie. It's not a perfect movie by any means necessary, but it's still a fun ride. I really enjoyed it a whole lot. I know a lot of people were very mixed on it when it came out. It was a big hit regardless, but yeah, I thought it was a ton of fun. I thought it was a good, fun disaster movie, and I thought it was a lot better than some of the other disaster movies that we got during that time period. And I'm one of the few people that would probably say that because I really didn't like Independence Day. Really wasn't a big fan of either Dante's Peak or Volcano either, but this is the one that I like. It's just my kind of taste. I mean, I kind of enjoyed this movie, mostly because of the action sequences and the visual effects in here. I think they really do stick out the most in this movie, and that's why I keep coming back to this movie. This was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed this movie a whole lot. So I really recommend it if you really like a good, fun disaster movie. Daylight, I think, is a ton of fun for what it is. So, yeah, that's Daylight. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next movie, and that is Woody Allen's latest film, Everyone Says I Love You.
An archaeologist?
Marilyn was an nymphomaniac.
Yeah, okay, she had a little problem with fidelity.
As you can see, we're not your typical family. This is the story of a year in our lives that we'll always remember. That's my mom. She's hard at work being soft on crime.
What we need are open prisons, European menus, decorating their own cells.
My stepdad really didn't take it too well.
Wait a minute, excuse me. Stephanie, bring down a copy of my will and an eraser, okay?
That's my real dad. His love life definitely needs some help.
You know, I'm gonna kill myself. That's what I should go to Paris and jump off the Eiffel Tower. I'll be dead. You know, in fact, if I get the Concorde, I could be dead 3 hours earlier, which would be perfect.
She's perfect for you. She jogs every morning. You could go and bump into her and meet her.
I swear, my family will do anything for love.
Oh,
Sorry.
Miramax Films presents the hilarious new comedy that's on everyone's top 10 list. American Movie Classics calls it an amazing, fun-filled 10. Deliriously original and very funny, raves Time magazine.
The pasta has no sauce.
It's Bavarian pasta. It doesn't need any sauce.
Alan Alda, Woody Allen, Drew Barrymore, Goldie Hawn, Natalie Portman, Julia Roberts, and Tim Roth, starring in Everyone Says I Love You.
And this is pretty standard for Woody Allen movies. You basically have a story about this upper-class family in Manhattan. They're followed in songs at New York, Paris, and Venice, and various characters act, interact, and sing off each other in other cities. You've got these two young lovers, Holden and Skylar, her parents, Bob and Steffi, her ex-husband, Joe and Steph's daughter, DJ, as they say in this, Vaughn, a lady whom Joe meets, and a recently released prison inmate, Charles Ferry, who was inserted between them, leading to their breakup. And this was not a big hit. This was not a financial hit at all. It was still a critically acclaimed movie. And really, when I look back at this, I think most of Woody Allen's movies have never been big financial successes. I think the most successful movie I think he's ever made financially was probably my favorite movie of his, Midnight in Paris, which came out 15 years later, and I still think that's a really fantastic movie. It's in my top 30 favorite movies of all time, honestly. It's a film that still holds up to this very day. I do like a lot of Woody Allen movies, and I think this one is pretty good. I mean, you got a really good cast with Woody Allen once again. Alan Alda, Drew Barrymore, Lucas Haas, Goldie Hawn, Gabby Hoffman, Natasha Lyonne, Edward Norton, Natalie Portman, Julia Roberts, Tim Roth, David Ogden Stiers, Billy Crudup's in here, Robert Knepper, just some notable names in here. Christy Carlson Romano, Kim Possible. Really solid cast overall here, and it is what you expect from a Woody Allen movie. It's a film where you get attached to the characters, you get attached to their storylines, and I think it does a very good job of creating this unique story that you want to follow around here. And the songs in here overall are really good. It's interesting to hear a lot of these people singing in their own voices. The only person that really does not is Drew Barrymore, but that was because of Goldie Hawn, I should say. Both him and Toy Boat. But I said that one exception was Drew Barrymore, but actually two exceptions. Goldie Hawn, which basically Woody Allen said to intentionally sing it worse because she sang too well to be believable as a normal person just breaking into song, which, I mean, that's a weird way to put it, but it kind of worked. And Drew Barrymore who convinced Alan that her singing was too awful for even the realistic singing voice concept he was going for, and her voice is actually dubbed over by a woman named Olivia Heyman. It's a fun little movie. It's a surprisingly effective film. It does deliver everything that you'd expect from a Woody Allen movie. Maybe not one of his best films overall, but I really enjoyed it a whole lot. I think you get what you get when you watch this movie. If you know Woody Allen stuff, you get exactly what you get with this. So yeah, on to the last film, and that is Losing Chase.
Don't tell me. Let me guess. You just graduated from Bennington.
No, Sarah Lawrence. Close.
With a degree in art history.
Creative writing.
Creative writing. Oh, I went through a similar charade at Radcliffe years ago. As you can see, it didn't get me very far.
So this is Kevin Bacon's first movie he's ever directed. He's actually directed another movie, Loverboy, which came out 9 years later. And I don't know too much about these movies. I've never seen this movie, nor have I seen Loverboy. But the basic story is that Helen Mirren plays this woman who marries a man named Richard, played by Beau Bridges. And they both grew up in this upper middle class, and her distaste for artificiality leads her to this wild breakdown. And the husband and Richard just doubtfully tries to restore their family unit as best as he knows how by hiring a mother's helper played by Keira Sedgwick, who is of course Kevin Bacon's Kevin Spacey. That'd be a whole different story. Who's actually Kevin Bacon's wife, and Chase Mirren's character is broken and wildly wickedly caustic. Good lord. Wickedly caustic towards Elizabeth until they discover each other's similarities, and a strong relationship develops, affecting their personal and familiar salvation and destruction. And I'm reading this off of IMDb because, like I said, I don't really know too much about the movie itself. It was produced for Showtime, was actually on TV in August of that year, but then got a theatrical release after it got a positive reception, I guess, to try to see if they can squeeze out some Academy Awards, But then again, I don't think you could do that because of what happened with the Richard Williams A Christmas Carol special from the 70s, which won Best Animated Short Film, even though it was seen on television first. I guess they changed the rules after that, so I don't know if that's what they were going for here, but it doesn't look too bad. I mean, as far as this movie goes, it doesn't look too bad, but like I said, I don't really know too much about this. I've never seen this movie, so I can't really say if it's good or not. Like I said, I got a positive reception, so I wouldn't doubt if it's a good movie or not, but other than that, though, I really don't know too much about it, but it's got some people I like in it, so I really would think maybe it's got a chance to be something good, but I can't really say for sure until I actually see it. So, that's Losing Chase. So with that said, that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet 4 more movies, and again, some notable films, including Tom Cruise and Cameron Crowe's Jerry Maguire, Tim Burton's Mars Attacks. We also have Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston in The Preacher's Wife, and also Laura Dern starring in Citizen Ruth. So again, like I said before, the 1996 holiday season had a lot of really, really solid films overall. We're going to get to a couple more of them in the next episode. So, thanks for watching, and with that said, if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.